Hello, today we're going to be walking through one of the coolest Zapier integrations I think I've seen, which is making all of your JobTread customers create a Google contact. So if your phone is hooked up to Google, it will immediately sync their information onto your phone. So if someone's calling you, you'll have their name listed, you'll have their contact information. It's something that we utilize here at JobTread as well. So anytime a customer signs up, we immediately have that information available on our phones. So we're not having to ask, who is this? What company are you with? And we don't worry about it being spam also because we can see exactly who's calling. So I think it's a really cool tool from a professionalism standpoint, and then also just quality of life. It's nice not having to search a phone number to try to figure out who it is. So in this video, we're actually going to build this. We're going to go through this together, unedited. Definitely not a Zapier professional by any means. So if I run into hiccups, you're going to see the whole process and how I troubleshoot it. So let's just start by signing in to Zapier. It's a free account to sign up. They do have paid tiers, but the cool thing is you can create the account off the bat, build these zaps as they call them, and then see if you like it. And if you do, then you can upgrade the account to a paid one. But again, the default is free. So we're gonna start by making a zap. So we're gonna connect this app, in this case JobTread, with Google Contacts in this case. And then you have a series of triggers and actions. This is how the whole building process works. Triggers are anytime something occurs. Actions are what we want to do. So the trigger in this case is going to be the customer is created in JobTread, but you can see all the other ones here. We want to do this thing over in Google. In this case, we want to create a contact. So click try it. That will bring you into the Zap Builder. And the first step I would take once this loads is naming conventions. So just give a name for the Zap, maybe customize these steps to be a little bit more specific as well. So I'll call it, JobTread customer to Google. Simple, Then I'll rename this first step to JobTread customer created. And the second one is going to be create a contact in Google. Just making it more intuitive and easier to read. But let's start with the trigger. So when this thing happens on JobTread, what are we eventually going to do? So I've already connected my organization with JobTread. It's just a matter of going into your settings, under integrations, click on the big Zapier logo. It's going to ask you for a grant key. Just click generate grant key and copy it, and then paste that over here in Zapier. And then you'll see something that looks like this, where you can continue, and then you can confirm the organization. In this case, it's Big Ranch. So continue from there. What this will do is allow you to test. And there's tests essentially on every step here, but this is confirming the output. It's confirming what we're receiving from JobTread in this case. So test the trigger. And this is going to pull the most recently created customer in JobTread. And then this is what we would use to build the rest of the Zap. What I mean is like this billing address right here. When we go over to Google, we're going to have to tell Google what should the address be. And this is the field that we're going to select. For this reason, I always recommend going into JobTread, whatever system you're using, creating a new customer on the fly, or if we're doing a Zap based off a job, creating a new job, just because when you're working with real data, maybe you don't have all the fields filled out. I think it's just cleaner to go and create an example to work off of, just to make sure that all of the fields are completed so we can read that over on the Zapier side of things. So the information itself doesn't really matter. It's just a matter of filling it out. So we're doing this work for Dirk Nowitzki here. He's the homeowner. We're going to build him a home. Phone number, birthday. All these are custom fields, so you probably won't see this many on your side. And then location, I'm going to skip the rest for now, but once you create that customer account, now Zapier can read this. So on this side of things, again, it's pulling the most recently created customer. I want to pull something that's even more recent now, right? So I'm going to click on the customer right here. This is a drop down, load more, and I should see another customer come through. It says pulled 1 second ago. Click it, and then you can see, all right, this is for Dirk Nowitzki. That's the one I just created. And that is the example we're going to work with for the rest of this Zap. So now I want to go create the contact. I've done the JobTread side. That part's done, pretty simple. But now I want to authenticate with Google. I've already done that. Click continue. And this is really the meat and potatoes of what we're doing. We are syncing those JobTread fields over with the Google fields. And these are the Google fields we see right here. I see a hiccup right off the bat. We have name in one field over on JobTread. This is separated first name, middle name, and last name. So we can't do it directly kind of one-to-one. We're gonna have to do an intermediary step to split up our field into two separate ones. So these are the sorts of hiccups you might run into, but we can work through this pretty easily. If you go and click this plus sign, this is how we add that intermediary step. In this case, you could do a filter, you could do a delay. I'm gonna change how the data is formatted. So format tool, the event is gonna be based off text. So we'll select that, continue, and then transform. It's asking you, what are you trying to do? We're trying to split this text. Select that from the list. And then the input is what we're trying to split. In this case, it's gonna be the person's name. So primary contact name, select it from the list. And then the separator, you can see it says character or word separator to split the text on. It could be a semicolon, it could be a comma. The default is space, and that's what we're gonna do, so we'll leave it blank. Then segment index, this is a complicated way of saying, what do you want the output to be? And I want them to be separate fields. So I'll select that and click continue. So when I click test here, it's gonna show me it's taking Dirk Nowitzki, test the action. And what am I gonna get? Now I'm getting two separate fields. That is exactly what I want, because I want to insert the first name separate of the last name. So continue, and then this will jump us back into step 3, which is the action. So click on that action tab, and now I can click on the first name, and it's asking me, what do you want to insert as the first name? I don't want to pull from the JobTread output, because remember the name was all in one cell. I want to pull from that formatting step that I just worked on. So click this. And I want to make the first name Dirk. The last name is going to be Nowitzki, all-time great. And then just go through these other ones and see which ones apply. You don't have to send everything from JobTread over. It's optional, right? So job title. In this case, maybe you want to insert the contact title of the homeowner there. That's not required. Company, if it was a company. Email, we do probably want to send that over, so we'll insert the email there. The email type, home or work, I don't think that's required. Phone number here. Phone type, same thing, I'm going to skip that for now. Additional phone numbers, that's an option. The address, we do have that also, and I kind of feel like that's all we need. So this is actually asking for the street address. So we would have to split this also. So in this case, you know what? We might as well go through it for the sake of the video. We're going to do one more split tool. So we're going to format. We're going to do this based off text again. Continue. We're going to do this split function again. We can't retrieve information in this step right now. Try reloading the page. So you'll get hiccups. It'll happen from time to time, but simple refresh fix the problem. And then we're going to pull in the address. And this one's different, right? Because a comma is separating all the values that we need to read from. So I'm going to separate that here. The separator is going to be a comma. And we are going to choose, the segment index is going to be all in this case. Let's test that action. It looks like we might get a little hiccup right here with the state. So again, I'll click continue. I'm going to do one more step. Choose an event here. Again, this is all not required. This is only because I'm trying to get the address over into Google as well. You could do this with just the name and the phone number, and then all of what I'm doing right now wouldn't be necessary. So just keep that in mind. You can go very, very simple with this. This one I want to split again. And my input is actually going to be pulling from that state and zip. That's not separated. The separator in this case is going to be a space, so we can leave it blank. And again, we want these as separate line items. Beautiful. So now we have everything split in a way that we can work with. So If we go back to this action step, everything's already set up except for the address. So I'm going to take the street address from this one right here. And again, this is why naming conventions are really helpful. Right now, when I'm looking at this, I can't tell what each of these is. This first step was for splitting the name of the person. This one was for splitting the address, and this one was for just the state and the zip. So if I go up here and I rename these, it would be more intuitive what each of these actually is for. In this case, I'm just going to move forward without it though. So the street address here, PO box, neighborhood is not required, city, we'll pull that as well. That's Dallas, Texas. The state, we're going to pull from this last step. Oh, it actually did it incorrectly here. So if you see how I have the state, comma, the zip code, we don't want that. We actually want those to be totally separate fields. So I'm going to go back to this one and see what I did wrong. And it looks like I chose as line items, I needed to do totally separate fields. So I'll continue with this and go back to the action step. And I probably need to refresh my fields here at the bottom. That just kind of gives it a hard reset. And now I can go into step 4. And it's still pulling that way. So let me see what I'm doing wrong. This is the beauty of going unedited right here. Okay, so this can come up often. You need to make sure to retest the action. And if you don't, it's going to pull the same data as it was pulling from before. So if I retest this action, now it's going to take the changes that I made. And if I continue and I go back to step 5 and scroll down, I get down to the state field, this will pull as expected. So make sure to retest that action, otherwise it's not going to update the information coming along. And then all the other stuff, birthday, if you wanted to insert the birthday, we did record that on the JobTread side of things as well. Let me see if I can't find that from the long list of things. Birthday. And again, all this is optional, right? So you can choose exactly what you want to send over. I think that's sufficient for the time being. So I'm going to go with those fields, click continue. It's going to give me a little summary. I can test the action. And now I could go over to Google and see if it actually sent along. But this should tell me what happened. A contact was sent to Google Contacts about 1 second ago. And at this point in time, if you want to go live with it, you would just click publish. So this is going to push it live. It's going to turn the Zap on. So now moving forward, every single JobTread customer you create will send over a contact over to Google. And again, if your phone is hooked up to Google, they'll immediately be available on your phone as well. So really slick tool. This is the process of building that connection from JobTread over to Google Contacts. A lot of the steps that we went through of formatting the data are not required. On the address side, it was not. On the name side, it was, because we had to get that name into 2 separate fields. But again, you can keep this simple or get more complex with it if you want to send more information along. But that's the basics of how you do this. And if you have any questions about it, please feel free to reach out. Email is support@jobtread.com. Thank you so much.